Yo, what's going on? This will be my last video. While I'm still in this location, I pretty much finished up the property, so I'm headed out there. Um, I don't expect anything to be too difficult or too different with getting videos uploaded out there. So we'll see. But yeah, now that that's done, I have all my free time back. So we'll see. But I want to talk about Ukraine. And my take on it. I'm gonna have a bit of a hot take, and so I just need folks to understand that if you were hypersensitive or you were somebody who is really focused on the humanitarian side of things, maybe this isn't the video for you. It is a hot take just because it's going to deal with. I have a lot of people saying that I've been watching or whatever. Why? Why would Russia do this? What purpose does it serve? I think it serves a lot of purpose. I don't agree with it, and I don't want war, but I definitely think that I have some ideas about why Russia would be doing this. So if that doesn't seem interesting to you, just go ahead and click off now. But yeah, let's start with why. So, to my knowledge, at least for the majority of my life, there have been signs where Russia has wanted Ukraine. I mean, I can think of at least two times before this where Russia was like, "Yo, kind of want Ukraine," and everybody was like, "No, don't do that." But I mean, Ukraine, for the most part, at least, was part of Russia, or at least parts of it were, right? So there's some familiarity ties there. Uh, and a lot of Russians, probably still see Ukraine as part of Russia, just like China legitimately sees Taiwan as part of China. They want it back. They've said that they want it back, and they're going to go see it. I think that we should keep a pretty close eye on China because they're probably going to be standing back and evaluating how everybody handles Russia taking Ukraine. And if they get away with it, I could definitely see a world where China goes ahead and takes Taiwan. And that would be bad because of the Sea of Seven, which is a major shipping port through the world. They could tax it and control what goes through there, and that would be very advantageous for them and very not so cool for everybody else. And I think a lot of this is preparing for the next century of warfare and business, because the world's changing. The Northern Passage is opening up, and I think that a lot of the uh, different landscapes available are going to be prepped for now. The Northern Passage being, shipping from basically the Northern Hemisphere, Alaska, and Russia to Europe. It's going to be a thing. And so, what does this have to do with Ukraine? So, Ukraine has a lot of rare resources. It has things that you need in order to make big moves. As well as the whole, some of them might think that Ukraine, has always been part of Russia, and they're just taking back what they had. Ukraine is called the breadbasket of Europe because it actually, it's the thing behind me shows, it accounts for 12% of wheat exports for the world, 16% of corn, and 18% of barley, and a few other things. Basically, a lot of food is grown in Ukraine, a lot of it, and that can mean issues with food prices for everybody else. It also means that Russia's really not going to have to worry about food that much. So sanctions aren't really going to work if you have everything you need, right? There's only going to be a few things that they don't have that they're going to be able to trade for, because now they have a resource that they can control and they can impact the world with pretty substantially. So Ukraine is not just some land. It's actually pretty important and pretty influential in its materials. The next thing we have is, of course, the metals. A lot of metal in there. Platinum, freaking all kinds of shit, right? They've got that they can have, and more importantly, when they have that, it means other people may not have access to it who disagree with them. So it's actually more important that maybe they're not short on it, but the person who is short on it may not have access to it. That's what hurts. So they can kind of fight back a little bit against sanctions. Everybody says sanctions, 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 but sanctions only work if there is clear shortages on the thing that you're sanctioning from them. If you've got 30 cases of ramen noodles at your house, and I'm like, nope, no more ramen noodles for you, you're gonna be like, I don't fucking care, dude. Anybody who's played an RTS understands that whenever you're set up and you've got your hub and you've built up your military and nobody's really gonna fuck with you, but you've kind of, you've done everything you kind of want to do, you may start looking over to other areas, particularly your neighbors, areas that are easily for you to control, areas that you're familiar with, maybe areas that you've been into before, and look at those and be like, yeah, I want that, right? It's just the natural succession of things. So I think that that's a lot of what's going on here. Ukraine also has refineries, and one of the airstrikes actually got destroyed. So why would the Russians destroy a refinery or destroy an oil terminal? That's because Russia actually controls one of these pipelines that go from Russia to St. Petersburg in Germany. And a lot of the European countries are kind of hesitant to get in this because they really get all like US, right? We don't really like fucking with Saudi Arabia that much because Saudi Arabia is our oil hookup. Because of this pipeline that happened, Russia is now most of Europe's oil hookup. So they've got something that the rest of the world needs. And because of this leverage of not really needing a whole lot from everyone else, they can kind of take Ukraine and fortify their stockpiles even more. We're in a bad spot, and while it's fucked up and mean and terrible, you can kind of see why that there's a lot of advantages for Russia to do this from their standpoint, from their viewpoints. Now, war sucks. I don't want a war. I want to sit on the computer and play video games, right? I don't want to react to stupid shit on YouTube. But I'm not under the impression that there's nothing for Russia to gain, or that Russia are doing this because they're bloodthirsty, and that's just what Russians do. No, there's lots of tangible reasons that you would want to do this. And the big one right now is that the governments in the world are so hesitant to do anything about it that it really it can really, there's not a whole lot of reason for them not to, right? Because they're not gonna stop them. That's my thoughts.